Hey guys, Rob and Georgia here with you, aka VHS 82 apostrophe, with another edition of my Crazy Fives. Hopefully you saw my last Italy's Holocaust and my revised sort of stance on, I guess, with Luca Guadagnino's remake of Suspira from 18, which is down there, which was an interesting review in the sense I just had so much junk in my head. I just sort of, I don't know, probably much better suited to the length of time podcasts offer with that. But what a what an experience that was. Anyways, physical media matters. And it is a line that I have just hijacked from Jason, our Tuesday reviewer, Body Bags, of course, Horrific Nightmares. It does, though. Physical media matters, maybe more now than it has ever met. I think, in a world of just authoritarian control and just, this war on physical media, the idea of just corporate giants controlling platforms and deciding what we're going to have and not have. Will it be censored, not censored? Just been thinking about this stuff a lot. And just thinking, Ruggiero Diodata's been on my mind as we got to deal with a wokeism somewhat themed, not for it, quite against it, theme towards the end of the month at Body Bags. And so I'll be, been thinking about kind of a Holocaust and just how controversial that film is. And yet, the United States, you think of the video nasties and the UK and everything. But United States. I mean, we censored Godzilla from 1954 for crying out loud. When we brought it into this country, we censored out the not so subtle political context or text of it, subtext, whatever. And we filmed American scenes and integrated it in there. And so it wouldn't be so upsetting to people in light of us continuing to test our atomic weapons in the on the doors on the back in the backyard of Japan. And so media, film, this stuff's important because when you finally can get your hands on something that to the best of our ability, it hasn't been tampered, hasn't been censored. It is the director's initial vision, his vision, her vision. It's important that we have this behind us in our room, easy access, and not have to hope that we go onto a streaming platform. It's there, right? So it's physical media matters. It really does, and I think people are really starting to wake up to that. I hope. So this Crazy Fives, man. I decided episode number 25. Let's just deal with VHS only. Now, obviously, I have a menu screen up here from one of the films that I'll mention. Can't really do that with VHS, can you? But I wish I had a stronger 5, outside looking in, notwithstanding. I wish I had a stronger 5. There are some VHS tapes. It's like you have. If you're old enough like me, there was a point in your life where you probably had this and that and this and that. And then along the way, we just got rid of it, lost it, whatever. And then we just, I wish I had that back. I wish I had that back. And I got a few like that I wish just I'd never let go out of my hand. And there's a few today, I don't want to be like the biggest VHS collector. Really, space is always an issue, right? But I've become selective, and there are things that are in my 5, outside looking in, that I'm very appreciative of having. And there's other things I do have in my collection. There are things that I do wish, if I could make a list of just say, I probably could fill out a list of 25 VHS tapes. I wish I could get my hands on, and that would probably be good. I wouldn't need any more, but these would be special ones, like Paragon's release of City of the Living Dead or Gates of Hell. Maybe an original VHS release of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, things like that. Things that would be so fun to just put it in. But thankfully, from there we've seen physical media evolve, from its early days into DVD and then blue and now to 4K. And City of the Living Dead has never looked as great as what Cauldron did in their release of it, right? So anyways, Crazy Fives, VHS. Here's just but a few. My outside looking in was a Fox video release. The film specifically in question, the one in question is 80. The one previous would go back into the late 70s, and then, of course, 83. But this video or VHS presentation of what I'm about to show you, again, it's purity in a sense of it was the way it was that I grew up with before. And it's hard to fault a director when the director decides to change or add things to something that you grew up with. And now some of these changes, I think, additions were welcomed. I think some were not, as we are all well aware. As soon as I tell you or show you what it is, you'll agree. And I picked these, and I'm going to just show you the trilogy, but one in particular there. I think this trilogy was released. Now, I got glasses and everything. I looked at the boxes as close as I could, and so I think the years I'm giving you for the release of that VHS is close or legitimate. It's there. I mean, unless I just misread it. This I picked up at a yard sale for just a couple bucks, and it does represent a sense of purity before the film was tampered with. And now, unless you have this, you don't have it. You have a new idea of it. And the film really in question is The Empire Strikes Back. Fox Video, 92. Picked this up in a yard sale for just a couple bucks. This represents the purity that was before Lucas went in and changed everything and gave us these special editions, which, I'm not going to rant on. These are things he wishes, some of these things he wishes he could have gone back and done, although he did make a few mistakes along the way, I think. But this is a great thing. Because it allows, and I have two sets actually. I have this set that stays safe, and I have a set that I basically just gave to my littles, and they watch them all the time. They have one of those TV VCR things in their bedroom, and so when they fall asleep, what they're falling asleep to watching is the non-special edition, the editions that I grew up with. And that sort of goes in along the lines of what I've been already talking about in terms of physical media and why it is important. So these are the types of things. You just go to a flea market, yard sales, you're bound to come across this stuff because people are always just getting rid of stuff and getting, out of that. But anyways, Irvin Kershner, by the way, is the director of Empire. Lucas is a film professor. I can't think. Didn't he do Eyes of Laura Mars, I think, as well? Anyways, let's go. Now, a couple of these in my top 5, I actually don't have upgrades, meaning I don't have it on DVD or Blue or anything. And so I'm very thankful because the only copy I have right now is on VHS. For what it's worth. So number 5, released by late in the game, Artisan Entertainment, Home Entertainment, 1999. The film is from 99 as well. Dual directors. I'm not even going to try to say their names. Eduardo and Daniel Myrick and Sanchez, I think. Of course, you know what Blair Witch Project, man. I saw this in the movie theater with a friend when I lived in New Hampshire. And a lost footage film, maybe the best. Can we just say it's the best one since Cannibal Holocaust? It owes a lot to Cannibal Holocaust. The directors self-admitted that was their inspiration. and and so it was I love the end. It's got to be one of the greatest endings of a film. I know a lot of people hate it, but you know you've done something well when half the people absolutely hate it and the other half absolutely love it. It's you know you probably did right. That's a look at the back. Picked this up probably, I don't know, maybe at a Goodwill. Pretty, as you can see, pretty mint condition. And October '94, 3 student filmmakers disappeared into the woods near Burkittsville, Maryland, while shooting a documentary. A year later, their footage was found. Just an enjoyable moment in the movie theater, seeing that. And again, the end just made it for me, man. The end was such a throwback deal for me personally. Great stuff. Number 4, I've showcased this one before. I sort of thought about it, and then I thought, you know what? It is one of the gems of my collection, so I really do. And this is a VHS list, right? So I might as well just show it off again. Imperial Entertainment released this on VHS in 1987, and the film comes out in 1987. It's Italian. I would have rented this, a VHS that probably looked very close like the one I'm holding, and a Michele Sauvé film. Of course, I think it's maybe the greatest slasher ever. Stage right, and this is the artwork, the original artwork that I would have been familiar with back in the day. This is what I would have rented in the store. It was Movie World. This is exactly what I would have rented, something just like this, taking it home. And now this was from a place, Bonus Video, in Lakewood Drive, Tacoma, Washington. Kind of interesting. But I've watched it a few times. It's in great shape. Looks good. But it's nice. Now I do have, with the Blair Witch, I do not have this on anything other than my VHS. This one I do, though. This one I have the Blue Underground release of this on Blue, but I also have a UK edition of this, which is so great. I know Shameless has put it out too. I need, if this ever hits 4K, you know, I'll be getting that. I'd be curious to see what that looks like in 4K. I wish Cauldron would do it. They did such a great job on City of the Living Dead. I would love to see what they would do with Stage Fright. That would be pretty phenomenal. Number 3. This is one, this is going to shock you that it's not in my collection outside of the VHS release. Columbia TriStar Home Entertainment. Now, I did double looking, triple looking. I can't believe this was put on VHS in the year 2000. It is a 1985 film. I do not have this on any other format other than VHS. I think I found this in a Goodwill mint condition. I think it was even wrapped. I've watched it a few times, obviously. This is a Tom Holland film. And Bright Night. Yeah, I saw a copy of this on eBay the other. I was looking, just trying to reconfirm the year of release of this specific release. I guess somebody had this up on eBay for crazy, like I want to say $70, $80 or something crazy. I think it was this one I was looking at. That's just crazy. That's crazy. I got this for like $1 at Goodwill. I mean, seriously. And I'm sure over the summer, if you just scoured flea markets and yard sales, I mean, you're bound to find a lot of stuff like this. I'm sure. But what a great movie. What a great movie. Number 2 is another trilogy I'm going to showcase to you. But the film, just like Empire, was sort of the focal point, which I think it's on my top 5 of the greatest films ever. Greatest films. I love Empire. Empire is my favorite Star Wars film, and I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. The next one, number 2, it is an Anchor Bay release from 98 to 99, or I'm sorry, from 98, 99. in terms of the trilogy. The first two in 98, the third in 99. I had the latter two for the longest time. And then one day I was at Second and Charles, and even though they never display VHS tapes, I could not believe my eyes when I came around the corner to start browsing the horror section. I see this weird thing just sticking out, and what was it? It was my missing piece to the trilogy, Evil Dead. An Anchor Bay special edition. It's so great. It's so great. And I'll show the other two in a second there. Even still had the book that came with it. How awesome is that? And the tape just looks great. I've watched this a few times as well on this formatting. Just such a great classic movie. But I could not believe for a couple bucks that I had the missing piece of the puzzle in terms of the trilogy. And so I already had, of course, Evil Dead 2. Excellent. This whole trilogy release was so stinking awesome. And you know, this is the only one too that I own a one of Anchor Bay's tin sets. It's the only one I have in my collection, unfortunately. And then, of course, in '99 they released Army of Darkness. How awesome is that? Just a great set. Just a great set. And when together, I mean, this is the heyday. This is the good old days of physical media, back when VHS mattered and was. You went to places like Suncoast Video, and just, man, I mean, it was the... And I've noticed, even when I put the years down for these, I've noticed the 90s, I don't often think about the 90s as like this, but the 90s seemed to be the heyday of VHS release in terms of their special collector's edition, widescreen, letterboxed. They start putting some extras. I mean, as you can see, I mean, there's, you know, extras are going on now. As well as, I think, I don't know if this one had really any extras, but but by the time you get to 99 and Army of Darkness, you can see they're starting to put things. They're starting to put things on here. It's good stuff. All right, down to number one. Best of my ability to ascertain off the box, this VHS was released in 1984 by CBS Fox Video. I've told this story before on a video. It was in that small window, a 2-year window, where we decided to leave Georgia and go back home to New York. And it was an anniversary. We'd gone out to dinner, and we were coming back home. And there was a small little plaza that used to house the video store that I mentioned earlier, Movie World, back when I was a kid. And at that point then, though, a thrift store of sorts. They had everything from DVDs to Blu-ray, you know, some Blu-rays, a little bit of smidgen of each VHS, and just a whole bunch of other random stuff. But that's, you know, it sat right in the area where Movie World used to be. And so one day, you know, well, it was our anniversary. We're actually coming home. We're driving right by the plaza. And so I said to my wife, is it okay if we just stop and let me take a quick little gander? Of course, you know what that means, right? And so I go in there and I'm looking at the shelves real quick, just real quick. And I noticed a white VHS box, bigger than normal, jutting out a little bit. I noticed it's Alien, and I was like, that's interesting, but I recognize the type of box. And so I pulled this out, of course, off the shelf, and I see this, and I know I've talked about this before, but this was such a gem of a find. If you notice here, the sticker, that is the store I used to go to. And so it's so awesome that on the day that we were celebrating our anniversary, I found a little keepsake, a little piece of that store that I used to go into all the stinking time. Tape bring home movies like, Dario Suspira at Letterbox for the first time, or Fulci Zombie, or, just, I mean, I was just like falling deep into Italian cinema. And, Fango helped with that, obviously, Gore Zone. And so it was a beautiful pickup of just having a piece of movie or video store history of a place that I spent. And just to think that thrift store that this actually left the movie store when they folded up shop, probably went to a video factory down the road, got rented up 10 million times, but ultimately then found its way back to that same spot. And ultimately, I was the one who picked it up and found it. I don't know. It's sometimes it happens. It happens. And by the way, I wasn't too. I think I did most of it in terms of the directors. We all know who directed the Evil Dead movies, and of course, Sir Ridley Scott, 1979 Alien. But the years of these again. I mean, we start with Empire, in the non-special edition VHS formatting, 1992, 99. 87, 2000. It's just so, it's funny. Fright Night was released in 2000 on that specific VHS. Released 98, 99 for the Evil Dead Trilogy Anchor Bay Special Edition, and a CBS Fox Video Alien on 84. And so just a little slice of VHS heaven. Obviously, as I said, if I sat here and just I could come up with a list of probably 25 films, maybe not quite 25, maybe 25, that I would love to have that perfect library. Golly, I don't know. Maybe before I die, I'll get to see it. I know stuff today goes crazy junk. People just ask the stupidest amount of money for some things, and I think in the end, sometimes what's most important is not how much money you make off of something, it's that it finds a good home with someone that's going to take care of it. Glenn, our BDG reviews, our Monday reviewers, apt always to say that, need to find a good home for this. It's important that physical media rests in a good home. It's taken care of, it's looked after, it's given the love that it is needed and wanted, I think, not to put any human attributes on material objects, but physical media, film, cinema is more than just an inanimate object. It contains a bit of who we are as humans. I mean, and that can seem, be it the horror genre, one of my favorites, science fiction, comedy, romance, whatever, drama, biography, fiction, nonfiction, documentary. It's important, and it's more. It is more. So it needs. The worst thing, and I'll probably end off on this. One of the worst things I ever heard. I rarely ever go to a Goodwill anymore. I just don't never find anything. And I had somebody in there one time tell me, if you knew, and now they were saying to me, if you knew how many times we had just filled up big giant black garbage bags of VHS tapes and just toss them in the dumpster. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine the stuff that ended up at a dump, tossed into the fiery furnace and to be lost forever. And that's heartbreaking when you hear things like that and you think about how special some of this is to those of us. And the younger crowd's waking up to it. They are waking up to it. And we just need to keep on plowing through and sharing our love for this stuff via the videos we upload, the podcasts we do, reviews we do, whatever it is. Just in the comings and goings of life and cinema conversation. We come walking out of a cinema having watched a movie, we ought to be saying something to the effect of, God, cannot wait till this hits Blu-ray or 4K. hope they put a ton of extras on it. You know, I'm just thinking Thanksgiving's coming out soon, Eli Roth's film. And so, I mean, you know, this ought to be part of our conversation. Anyways, I'm at about the 25. So, you know, my Bills are hitting the field today at 4:30. It's been just a blustery, cold, snowy, chaotic, crazy time in Buffalo, New York. For those of you, you know now, looking back, I'm doing this early. But today is Monday and Martin Luther King Day, and reminds me of a story of George A. Romero when they're on the road with the print for Night of the Living Dead, and going to meet with a distributor, and suddenly the radio crackled with the news of Martin Luther King Jr. being killed, assassinated, and they pulled off and sat there and contemplated what to do with their film. Should they change it, censor? If you know Night of the Living Dead, you know what I'm talking about. And ultimately, they decided to plow through, leave it intact, leave it as it ought to be. And it's one of the greatest horror films in history. And so, it's relevant to the moment we're in at this second, on the day I'm doing this. So I'll leave you with that. And as always, go Bills. Hope my video wasn't too long, but I felt like this was a good rant, a good ramble on. So go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream. We might be useful to you.